A slice of wisdom, a concept, a sentiment, a theory, and maybe even a rant from one of your industry colleagues. For the record.
Welcome, aftermarket professionals, to For the Record, episode 10. Carm Capriato here from Remarkable Results Radio and the Town Hall Academy. Now, For the Record brings you personal insights from your industry's colleagues. It's a short yet focused opportunity for a rant, a riff, an opinion, or perspective that may just align your thinking in a new way. Now, listen to John Burkhauser from Bolt-On Technologies as he points out the power of change, something we can struggle with or even like. Find the show notes, talking points, and links to John's previous episodes at remarkableresults.biz/F010. Now, the views and opinions expressed are those of my guest and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the author, sponsors, associates, or affiliates of LSTN Media, LLC. For the Record is sponsored by Remarkable Results Radio, the aftermarket's premier podcast and think tank where the stories empower you. Now, here's John Burkhauser for the Record.
My name is John Burkhauser, and I'm from Bolt-On Technology. And today, I'm really happy to have a chance to talk to you about change. And the reason I chose change is because when I look at the whole industry, I see that we have a lot of things that we need to reconsider and things that we have to take and look at again, because many of us are still doing things the way that we've done them for 10 years, 20 years, 30. And that's a common concern that a lot of people say, hey, this is the way I've always done it, but you know what? And it works for me. But the question that we have to really ask is it really working for you? Because so many shops are so mired in their day-to-day that they have no idea, no way of getting out of this hole. And I always use this description. You're treading water. And you're not only treading water, but you're only treading water with your mouth and nose out of the water. You're so immersed in your day that that's all you can do is maintain your position and hold it there. And because you're in that water, you can't see what's around you. You can't see what changes occurred. You can't see anyone out there to help you. So what I'm suggesting here is that we take a look at change, and then we see how we can get our head up out of the water so we can look around and see the lifeguard with the pole or whatever it might be, the flotation device, and grab onto that and take that moment and take that point of view as a new way of looking at what we're doing. So what I've done here is I did a little bit of research, and I have a couple of quotes that I want to kind of share with you and then also explain how it applies to our business. Change is not only likely, it's inevitable, said Barbara Sher. And, you know, it's really kind of funny that when I start out with a quote like this and talking about the automotive industry, it's funny because many shops are very difficult to move out of what they're doing. They're always doing the process like they always had. And that is one of the biggest things that gets me kind of crazy. I mean, because I'm here at Bolt-On because I saw what the product could do for companies and I changed careers. And you know what? I had to go through change too. I had to give notice at my last job, and I remember being nervous as all heck and my heart beating in my chest and me going, I'm just about to leave a good job and go to another company. But you know what? In the back of my mind, when I remember what this company can do for a shop, I was just blown away. And it has to be shared. And big part of making that happen is change. Okay. So let's take a quick look at it. You know, how many shops out there are still using paper calendars to make appointments if they're making appointments? And basically, many shops are opening the door with that whole idea of build it and they will come and hoping people will show up. And think about the paper estimates and invoices, the filing cabinets, the tracking of all this stuff and everything that you have to do to keep track of this. These are all things that are keeping you mired, keeping you busy every day. Clipboards and bulletin boards for dispatching of work. Paper inspections, phone calls. You're calling people and leaving messages because nobody talks on the phone anymore. You know, complete dependency on that service advisor is the central link of the whole process. If that service advisor drops the ball, pretty much the whole process goes down the tube, and now you're fighting again. And another thing that I want to bring to everybody's attention is independent shops being independent. Everybody has their own shop, and they feel there seems to be a feeling out there that they can't reach out to Joe's shop down the street or any other shops in the neighborhood because we're competition. Well, that's kind of really ludicrous, folks, because there is so many cars out there, so many vehicles to service that you're not going to take away from each other. There's shops next to each other all across the country, and each of them are surviving and doing what they have to do. So we have to think about change. And for shops that do not embrace change, that change is coming is maybe being a shop closing. So another quote here is the only constant in technology is change. And that was by Mark Benioff. And that's very true. Because think about this. Every model year that comes into your shop for service has brand new technology. And think about this. You're investing thousands of dollars in the back end of your shop for computerized alignment equipment, diagnostic equipment, and everything to meet the challenge of that change. And every minute that equipment sits and is not being used is money lost. But yet, the service process, we're coming back to it, you still handle customers the same way that you always have, and you're getting the same results, with many of them not coming back and just depending on the goodwill of these people to come back and stop at your shop and have you do the service that they need. I mean, you're still writing up the vehicles from behind the desk. You're standing behind the desk when the car is out on the parking lot, and that's the patient. I mean, think about that. When you go to the doctor's going to take you in. They're going to run your blood pressure and do your temperature and your weight and all that stuff. And then they're going to start to talk to you. But in our world, the patient sits out on the parking lot and we talk about the driver that brought them in. And that driver may not even know how to put fuel in the car. And we're asking them, what do we need to do for you? What can we help you with today? So those are things that we have to start thinking about. So what's stopping you? And there's a number of things that come to mind. Fear is the biggest one. When it comes to change, fear is one of the biggest things that we have to overcome. The fear of change. Even though we may be in a bad situation as we are right now, we know the dangers that are around us. We're used to them every day. We deal with the same thing over and over. It's a known condition. But just trying to step out of that space, that's where the fear comes in. And that's one of the biggest things that stops us from moving. Pride. Again, that whole thing, this is the way I've always done it, and it's always worked for me. But yes, every day you're scrimping, every day you're treading, and you're staying long hours trying to get paperwork done, and you have no afterlife because your pride is keeping you from moving out of what you know and into a whole new way of doing things. Another thing that a lot of people talk about with change is the cost of change. All right, there is a dollar figure, and of course there's a time figure which adds up to dollars, but when you really sit down and think about it and you really look at the cost and the hours invested and what the payback will be if you follow through, you're going to find that the cost is really a lot less. And being too busy to consider, yes, that's that whole treading thing again. Because you're so overwhelmed with your day-to-day that you can't even take a chance to do that. But here's the thing. Sometimes you have to stop, take a step back, and look what you're doing. And that way you're going to be able to re-examine what you're doing and maybe see a new and different way of doing things. So you have to keep that in mind. So one of the things, another quote for you, if you change the way that you look at things, the things that you look at will change. You're going to see a whole different way of looking at things. So what I'm asking you to do is just take a few moments, take some time, maybe a day off, just go for a walk or something like that. Get out of the shop and really think about how you're doing things. What's holding you back? What's really those roadblocks that stop you every day? And I really want to persuade you to take a little bit of time and look at that, because if you can get yourself out of your shop, stop working in your shop, work out of it, and really consider what you're doing day to day, I feel that if you take a little time, you're going to see that there's a difference. All right. So now let's talk about making that change. So you commit to a change and you want to move on. You've overcome the fear and you're pushing back against it, and it's there hanging on every day. There's a number of things that you do need to do. You have to be consistent. If you're not consistent in keeping that change in place, you're going to find that you're going to drift off it. Human nature. I mean, think about this. Every day you brush your teeth, you get out of bed, you drink your coffee and all that, and you probably have a routine that you don't even think about. Tomorrow, change it. Reverse the coffee drinking with breakfast or whatever it is. Change one thing and see how difficult that is. And that's what you're pushing back as a human being. And that's one of the reasons I suggest something like that. But sit back, look at that, make that change, commit to that change, and stay with that change. And it's said that if you can hold doing something different for 30 to 31 days, that it now becomes a habit and an automatic thing. And that alone could help you move forward. So what am I suggesting? look at technology. You've invested in the back. It pulls in on the lot out front. And in the middle, you don't have technology helping you fill your shop. Look at technology and don't be scared away by the cost. Don't be scared away by there's going to be a learning curve. There's no question about that. But the end product is going to be that once you get through this and you get up to speed and you commit yourself to this and get your crew on board, that change is going to happen. And that's going to put more change in your pocket. So keep that in mind. And basically, that's what I'm asking. Why won't you change? And what's it going to take for you to change? Or are you going to be changed out of the business? So that's John Burkhauser saying, let's change.
Thanks for listening to For the Record from Remarkable Results Radio. Subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast listening app. Find all Remarkable Results podcast content at remarkableresults.biz. Remember, your learning curve never